In October, when I was in Japan for the Japan Mobility Show, David Chow and I got a chance to got to walk around this Afeela model, which is a joint venture between Honda and Sony. We got more information developing about their partnership. And this is super exciting. And it comes right on the heels of Honda and General Motors parting ways with cheaper EV development together and sharing technology and platforms. They're going their separate ways, Honda and General Motors, after Prologue and ZDX launch. Despite all the work those two companies are doing together on Super Cruise, as well as hydrogen fuel cell development, they're going their separate ways on BEVs. And I have great news that Honda is doubling down with their partnership with Sony to provide an even more fleshed out lineup that we had no idea was coming. So grab your snacks and drinks and buckle in. This Afeela sedan, they don't even have a model name for it because this is the only vehicle that they have announced for their lineup. It's coming in 2026. And honestly, it was top two maybe impressive vehicles at the Japan Mobility Show. The number one would be the Mazda concept that looks just out of this world. Being inside of it, walking around it, it felt like it was hand built, which it probably is, right? There's only one copy in the world, at least there was at the time. It just felt like it was production ready from the outside in. It was super impressive vehicle from Honda and Sony Mobility, and this car brand that they're using is called Afeela. And now we have all this information coming out, and they are expanding not only their employees, but expanding their lineup. You can't just have a car brand with one car, right? We knew it was going to grow at some point if they were really serious. But let's take a step back because like I mentioned at the beginning, back in October, so this literally came out like a day before I got my hands on the Afeela car. And so crap was hitting the fan with General Motors and Honda. And it was just unbelievable that just a couple years before that, they're like, hey, not only are we making EVs together, in 2027, we're going to come out with a whole lineup of affordable EVs that share the same platform to reduce costs. Due to conflict of interest, due to all sorts of reasons why Honda and General Motors are not going to be working together to build cars together anymore, Honda is doubling down with their partnership with co-Japanese company Sony. And I think that is going to be an amazing choice for them long term. I think Honda fans have a much better mindset and acceptance of Sony, if not pro-Sony branded people, than they are General Motors people. And I know a lot of people are not that interested in the new ZDX, which I'm going to be driving. So stay tuned because I really want to see what it's all about. Because I think General Motors can build good vehicles. I have no doubt about it. But if people just wanted to buy a General Motors vehicle, why would they buy an Acura General Motors vehicle? That's the argument a lot of people are having, right? I might be a little over caffeinated, you guys. I'm really excited about this, so I got to stop beating around the bush and get right into this article. So Sony and Honda EV venture to launch SUV and compact before 2030. So we're already at 2024. In 2 years, 2026, this car comes out with LiDAR, with I think it's like over 40 or 50 sensors on the outside and the inside of the vehicle for safety. It's got next gen like Sony cameras in there, as well as screens and PlayStation, like cloud PlayStation capabilities. It's an amazing vehicle. Now, we also had specs fairly recently. I want to say that it's about 220 to 240 horsepower per e-motor front and rear. Now, does that mean it's going to have 480 horsepower total? Probably not. It'll probably be close to like 300, 350, but it could send as much as, let's say, 240 horsepower to one of the motors. So peak is, my guess would be 300 to 350 horsepower because it's Honda we're talking about. They're a pretty conservative Japanese company, and I don't think that ultimate performance is their goal, but they need to have good performance, right, with a BEV for it to be competitive. Sony Honda Mobility to debut a sedan in 2025. Now, I'm pretty sure it's 2026. I think sales and pre-orders might be going on in 2025. And keep in mind, even though this news is coming out of Tokyo, this vehicle will be built in Ohio, I'm pretty sure, here in North America, 100% North American built vehicle. And Honda, outside of Tesla, is and Acura for that matter, is the most American part sourced brand. Okay, so if you want a product that's made in America, Tesla, Honda, Acura, they're up there at the top of the list. So that's if I mean, I'm all about made in America. I don't know about you guys. So that's a beautiful thing as well to have that Japanese engineering and build quality and design. I really like Honda designs for the most part. And then you also get that made in America to support the local workers and the local economy. So best of both worlds. All right. So in 2026, we'll see availability of the sedan, the Afeela sedan. And just a year later, we'll get an SUV, a battery electric SUV. Now, we have no information on a battery electric SUV from Honda or Acura built on their new e-architecture platform, which all these vehicles that we're talking with Sony Honda Mobility are on the e-architecture platform. We got a couple of concepts from Honda recently from the new Zero series. One's the Saloon, which is this futuristic dustbuster looking thing. I like how bold they went with it. And the other one was the space concept, space something. It's like a minivan, which you guys know how much I love minivans. So if we can get an electric minivan from Honda by the end of the decade would be pretty cool too. But SUV, something like a CRV sized would be my guess. Now, the interesting thing is we have 3 companies now that are all going to be on this e-architecture. And how does Honda and Sony and Acura balance it out and differentiate their products? It has to be through design. That's the only way I can think of, because underneath is going to be the same batteries, platform, inverters, motors. And maybe Acura gets a little bit more of a performance edge, and then Afeela gets more of the super high tech edge, and then Honda is more of the efficiency edge. It's really hard to say. You would think Acura, Honda, and Afeela will come out with a mid-size crossover, something like a CRV size, a Model Y competitor, if you will. They will all have their own different flavor of battery electric EV coming out in 2027. But know how I mentioned at the beginning of this video multiple times that General Motors and Honda separating ways to build affordable EVs in 2027, 2028, somewhere in that time frame. It's all because Honda would rather build those affordable EVs with Sony. Affordable in quotations. So Honda scrapped General Motors, not happy with the situation, my guess. I mean, look, the Prologue's coming out soon. The ZDX is coming out soon this spring. The basis of those vehicles is the Ultium platform, and there's a stop sale on the newest Ultium platform vehicle, which is the Blazer EV. So the Blazer EV and especially the Prologue are sister vehicles. Same assembly lines, just different styling, slightly different touchscreen and stuff. So maybe Honda was really not happy or impressed with the engineering essentially and quality of the vehicles from General Motors. And they say, hey, Sony has our back. Sony has the same maybe business philosophy, quality, 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 quality. Maybe that's what they're really focused on. And they're in their own backyard. Sony, Honda, both coming from Japan. I think it's a match made in heaven, to be honest, because together, I mean, independently, they're fantastic, but together, they can make some of the best electric vehicles the world has seen. I have no doubt about it. Now, affordable compact, like I said, I think that's got to be around $30,000, somewhere around where a Honda Civic is priced right now. But you got to think, hey, a Civic starts at 24, 25K after destination. I think realistically, an affordable compact EV from Sony Honda Mobility and the next, whatever, maybe they call this the electric Civic or something as the Honda branded vehicle. It's got to be around $30,000 would be my guess, or $35,000 tops for an entry price point. So that will be coming in 2028 at the earliest. They say that the SUV in theory could allow for more speakers and bigger screens. I don't think people are really going to be... When you have as much screen that the Afeela sedan already has, do we need to reinvent the wheel here? No, I would say it's good. Just like Honda, most of Honda's interiors all look like the Civic, right? I would assume that the Afeela vehicles and the interior are going to be copy and paste to keep costs down. In January, Afeela began hiring mid-career engineers, so seasoned engineers with lots of experience, and intends to double its workforce to around 500 employees. The 3 models will share the same chassis to reduce costs and speed up development, and that is the e-architecture with Honda. They say the compact size vehicle will be comparable in size to the Corolla and Golf. Now, Why wouldn't they just say Civic? Is it because the Civic's actually a little bit bigger than the Corolla and the Golf? Let me look that up. Let me look up Civic, which is 184 inches long in the sedan and 179 inches long in the hatchback. I guess I can show that on the screen for you guys. What is a Volkswagen Golf length? 167 inches. So this is going to be a more compact vehicle, more than likely. And what is a Corolla? 182. So Corolla is actually pretty long, kind of in between where the Civic is. So what is a Tesla Model 3? 185. So somewhere in that. It's going to be Corolla or GTI length all the way up to potentially a Civic sedan length. So I know that's a big jump in length. I'm hoping they make it as compact as possible and give it a hatchback for practicality purposes. In the era of EVs, it can't be, in theory, quite as boxy as like a GTI due to probably aerodynamics would be my guess. And so maybe it has to look a little bit more like a fastback design. But like the Civic hatchback, that's kind of like that sloping roofline still, but gives you the hatchback functionality. So hopefully this comes in that hatchback form. That's something the Model 3 a lot of people have hesitations about, and they just get a Model Y instead because it has that hatchback functionality. Retail prices will be kept low on this budget model by omitting equipment and functions. That makes sense to me. You don't need all the sensors that the Afeela sedan has or the Afeela SUV will have. So if you're able to keep it to a minimum, but still give us better functionality than what we have with the Tesla, like Model 3, for example, that doesn't have parking sensors that I'm aware of. They got rid of that a few years ago to cut costs. So if we can still keep parking sensor functionality on this small EV, that would be great. But here's the thing, you don't really need parking sensors as much if you have excellent cameras. And we know Sony has excellent cameras. And if they can put some good camera technology in here to give us maybe a nice top-down picture of the car, then maybe you don't need parking sensors as much. They're still invaluable, I think, on bigger vehicles, but on a compact vehicle, maybe it's not that important. Sony Honda Mobility's expanded lineup was promoted by the evolving EV market. Although Tesla had been dominating the presence in the 2010s, rivals from China, Germany, South Korea began entering the market in the 2020s, with China's BYD quickly becoming a global brand thanks to the popularity of its affordable EVs. I just made a video on China's BYD yesterday. They are looking to set up a manufacturing plant in Mexico. And that could really put a wrench into everything built in North America and sold in North America, from a combustion car to a cheap EV as well. So stay tuned for more of that developing story. Now, this is the first time I think I've heard of a price for the Afeela sedan. This is going to be Acura territory pricing, actually maybe slightly above, right? You can get a TLX Type S for roughly $60,000. The Afeela sedan is dubbed a high value added EV, right? Well, they say high value because it can do things that other EVs can't. It can play PlayStation games through the cloud. It can play movies from the Sony movie, catalog. And they're saying it'll be priced at more than 10 million yen, at $66,413. Did you guys expect it to be that much money? What is the affordable one going to cost then? My ideas of having a $30,000 to $35,000 low-priced EV maybe might not be as low price as we hope. So definitely stay tuned. I mean, the pricing of these vehicles is going to be a moving goalpost with tax credits, the competition from Tesla and possibly BYD by that point in time. But anyway, Sony and Honda will not be able to enter an already crowded market with only high-end models. That's why they're making that affordable model. EVs only accounted for about 12% of new car sales around the world in 2023. By 2030, they're estimated to make up 36% of all new car sales. In the meantime, before EVs get off the ground with the next-gen platform with Afeela, Acura, and Honda's their e-architecture, in the meantime, Honda is blowing profits out of the water like Toyota was, not quite to the same level as Toyota, up 35%. I think Toyota was up like 70%. But hybrids are helping them out massively to achieve desirability for the cars as well as profit. So the fiscal year ending March 31st, Honda is expecting to sell 1.4 million vehicles, representing an 11% increase over the previous years. So they're doing better than 11% here in North America. Their Chinese market is shrinking. All Japanese market share of vehicles in China is shrinking. I think everyone's market share is actually shrinking. Volkswagen's still hanging in there pretty well. And I think General Motors is still hanging in there pretty well. But for the most part, everyone else is diminishing while the rise of Chinese autos keeps increasing. Oh yeah, Honda Grom. I want to sprinkle this in here. I'm working on my Grom today. I got the Yoshimura exhaust to put on, but this is the design of the 2025 model. I actually like the design of my model, I think, a little bit better. They got rid of the really cute big washers that keep the fairings on. So I don't know. It's still a Grom. It's still worth the money for how much fun it can give you. So let me know down below, would you be interested in Honda and Sony's vehicle over a General Motor and Honda vehicle, or should I say more specifically an EV between those companies? I'll see you guys down below. I can't wait to see more from Afeela. Beautifully designed sedan. It's going to cost a pretty penny, it sounds like. If you made it this far in the video, appreciate you. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.